Mike Craven. We've had Mike on. He's done the tour of all of the programs around the state of Texas as far as the post-spring portal. This is the state of Texas. So I'm sorry if you're Kansas or Kansas State or USC or whoever. This is from Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, the Bible, so to speak. Here is the post-spring FBS power poll. And at the top, you're going to see most of the teams that are pretty good are FBS teams. Houston at 7, you just mentioned them. I'm not A&M right there. Baylor had a good offseason. I don't know if this is, we don't know exactly, but there we are with who he has. Texas and then Tech, Baylor, A&M, SMU, TCU, Houston. We had Jeff Traylor on yesterday, and the Roadrunners they lost 3, as he mentioned. Man, was he opinionated, and I love that he was wide open yesterday at number 8.
You know, what the top 7 teams all have in common is they know exactly who their quarterback's going to be and what they'll likely get from them. In Arch Manning, Baron Morton, Sawyer Robertson, Marcel Reed is a dual threat guy. Maybe a threat and a half right now. SMU with Kevin Jennings, Josh Hoover, Tennessee came after him, and then, of course, Connor Wigman at Houston. So those are things you can build on. And then, it's not surprising to see Texas and Texas Tech, on the top of that because of all the roster building they've done. Pleasant to see Baylor at 3, especially given what they've built around Sawyer Robertson. I think on offense has been pretty good.
They added the big alignment on defense, Craig. They a kid from Tulane and among others. So they didn't lose much. Boy, they came after them though, like they did with other schools that are on the list after UT at the top.
Yeah, I mean, they should be pretty good. I think Texas is an easy choice at number 1.
Protect your online privacy with Nord VPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Even with all they lost, they seem to replace that pretty well. And so I think that they've got pretty easily the best, most well-oiled machine as a program right now. How can you really debate that back-to-back playoff appearances? So, yeah, that's an easy choice there. And then after that, it is a bit more of a crapshoot. And, again, Texas Tech's had the offseason of off-seasons, so they're riding that. And I think, it's more than just that. It's you actually look at what they've done. I think I mentioned this last week. I don't have the exact numbers in hand like I did a week ago, but they have, on paper at least, upgraded significantly in terms of like the star ratings of the players on their roster, the guys they lost in comparison to the guys they brought in. They gained, I don't know how, it was like 25 star rankings based on, the tit for tat of who you lost and who you acquired. So that would seem to indicate a pretty significant jump up in talent. And I think you have a lot of faith in your coordinators. Now I do wonder like where it sneaks in of like, this is a first year coordinator and it is a first year coordinator on both sides of the ball, but they're both very talented and they're both kind of on the come up. And so I'm just like looking for where there might be potholes somewhere. And I know I bring up Baron Morton on occasion. It's not that I don't think he's a good player. I need to see, is he going to be healthy for an entire season? Is that a fair thing to wonder about? I think that it is. And even if he is, can he be close to elite? Like he can't be just, even with the talent they've got, he can't just like put it in neutral and just, as long as I don't turn it over good, like he's going to have to go be good and really good at some times. And I think that he can be. But will he? I think that's the big question for Texas Tech. And if so, then, yeah, I think he puts them over the top. So they seem to be a very strong number 2. I think Baylor will be really good. Texas A&M is going to be really solid. And, I think you're kind of splitting hairs, but I would get to 6 and then say that's the cutoff, and not just because of conferences or anything. I do think that those top 6 all have a chance to make a lot of noise. I'm more hesitant. I know there's reasons to be optimistic about Houston, but I just don't know how excited to get about them just yet in terms of putting them any higher than they are on this list right now.
Yeah, here's what Mike wrote, just a couple, 2 or 3 sentences that are each team. Willie Fritz's program hit the reset button after year 1. We mentioned that. Replacing both coordinators, we mentioned that. Adding over a dozen potential new starters in the portal, including 5-star quarterback Connor Wigman, who was at A&M. Defense lost, though, 2 stars in the secondary after spring practice, including Halsey, which was that yesterday? Yesterday, went to LSU, and Jeremiah Wilson, who transferred to play for non-bowl Florida State.
That's not.
It's 2 wins. Oh yeah, it's still non-bowl. Yeah,
non-bowl.
No, I'm not predicting this year. I think they'll bounce back and get to a bowl game.
Garrett knew 3 wins.
Yeah, Garrett knew exactly when AJ Halsey was. Probably the time in the morning when it happened.
Did you have like one of those? Did they call you? Did Kelly or his personnel people, Mike Scarborough,
Kelly
call
probably
you?
blocks me if he hears how I talk about him.
Yeah, no, there you go. But that's a fair summary, I think, of Willie Fritz in Houston and where they are, at least what they did after the portal.
They've got plenty of upside. I just don't think that you can bank on anything to justify putting them much higher than they are here. I think that TCU should be better, Baylor should be better, Texas Tech should be better, but is it by an incremental amount or is it by a large gap? I don't have a real idea on that. So that's fine to be number 7. Nothing wrong with that. And then, as far as the rest of the schools go, I mean, Traylor's, he's got to focus. You could tell from that conversation yesterday. So I think TSA ought to be pretty good there with Owen McCown leading the way and him having, for the most part, been able to keep his roster intact. GJ Kinney, I don't feel like there's a whole bunch of bluster and a whole bunch of fireworks and everything surrounding every time you bring up his name like there was maybe a couple years ago. And then even at the beginning of last year and all of that, he's still a rising star, but it does feel like there's just not as much fanfare maybe with Texas State. So I don't know what that means for them moving forward, but they'll still be highly entertaining. And I don't really have a lot of thoughts on the rest of the list.
Somebody, who is this? Who is the one that Jayhawk Champ? A power pole sounds pornish.
Pornish?
Is that even a word?
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Don't you have a friend that's named Kyle?
You're spelling pole differently, pal.
Yeah, like the Cornish game hen.
Yeah, the Cornish game.
The Pornish game. The Pornish game hen is something that we can't talk about.
No, we can't. But somebody, what's a power pole? It's you could call it whatever you want. You can only have to use power. It's just a top whatever you want FBS programs. Go back with that poll. Just one more glimpse of it, because you were talking about Houston at 7. Everybody below them in that poll, all of them are not in a power conference. So they're among the 7 schools at the top are all power conferences. And not that UTSA and others aren't really good, but that's the separation there at the top.
North Texas and Texas State in particular have really large changes on the roster. So it's going to be really tough, especially after spring. I mean, Texas State just got 3 guys in the spring portal that are probably going to start for them before too long. So they didn't even go through spring. That's what makes this
you need to go,
really confusing.
Go back and listen to Traylor yesterday. He was quite something else. No question.